on, fellow A-plussers? It is I, your host as always, Adam Perez, back once again with another Supergirl review and breakdown, as we're going to be getting into episode number 15 of the 6th and final season. Guys, even after this episode, we wind up getting ourselves a preview or a trailer for the last 5 episodes of this series, believe it or not. So I'm assuming we're wrapping up at episode number 20. A great trailer to certainly get me hyped, and it definitely shows to me that they're definitely not going to be pulling any punches or holding back. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to certainly wrap up the finale for this series, guys. If you can see from the background, I am slowly putting together this wall, trying to go ahead and make it very reminiscent of our A+ Opinions logo back there, or let's just say the backdrop with the blue and the pop art darts and stuff. So keep your fingers crossed that this actually comes out looking relatively nice, but we'll see how it goes, I guess. Listen, guys, overall, enjoyed this week's episode. We got to see another fight over another totem, our third totem in here so far. They've tackled the concept of courage, humanity, and in this episode, hope, which seems like a pretty open and shut case, right? I mean, the idea of Supergirl being able to give somebody hope or utilize that power, that's like right up her alley, isn't it? So the fact that this episode we get to see Supergirl really struggling with that concept, because it's not just the idea of providing somebody with a small amount or a decent amount of hope. No, the Hope Totem certainly wants you to create everlasting hope, or just lasting hope is what they certainly refer to it as. So seeing the idea of Supergirl just try and help people out, right? Like a little girl picked up her ice cream or got her a new ice cream because she wound up dropping it, helping an old man across the street sort of thing. That's just not going to cut it when it comes to the Hope Totem. I mean, you got to think bigger and brighter. And if I can be honest, a little underwhelming in regards to the resolution to this Hope Totem. I guess because of the fact that they really have been utilizing Supergirl's voice this season, I thought maybe she was going to give another rousing or inspiring speech to somebody. But her sense of hope, her lasting hope in here is really to, I don't want to even say demilitarize, but she really wants to take sort of the nuclear weapon stockpiles from the two countries in here that we get to see, Casnia and Cultus Maltese. Wait, hold on. Let me look at my notes because I wrote it down. It was between Casnia and Cortos Maltese. That's what it was. I'm sorry, I couldn't even pronounce it for a second there. But that's really what the basis of this episode kind of surrounds, is the idea that we do have these two countries that are working peacefully on some sort of peace treaty, coming to terms. But when we do get the opportunity to see Nyxly appear on set, she winds up removing the courage from everybody in these negotiations, and the negotiations start to plummet to the point of almost war, the idea of launching off nuclear missiles here. So Supergirl's bright idea is, if I can take all their nuclear weapons and showcase to the world the concept of peace, that they no longer have to worry about a nuclear war or bombs or anything like that, missiles, killing innocents and harming civilians and things like that. This is her attempt to bring lasting hope. And it works. It definitely works. I just don't know if I was a fan of the execution, in the sense that they just almost made it feel so simple, and I'm sure trying to do something like that on that big of a scale is not simple. I do love the fact here, though, that I would be interested to see if this idea gets addressed later on throughout the remainder of the season finale, in the sense that because she went ahead and demilitarized some of these nations, I do wonder if even Supergirl will get some pushback. And I ask that because with them destroying the Hope Totem at the very end, with their fears of maybe Nyxly getting a hold of this particular totem, why not destroy the totem in order to just not allow the All-Stone to be put back together? But the idea of destroying the Hope Stone, even Lena mentions in here that it might have bigger implications because of its tie to magic, and really how those energies and stuff really intersect with our world, right? And so the idea of removing hope from a situation, I know Supergirl feels like oh, we can just bring back hope anytime, or we've been able to instill and inspire hope with people plenty of times. Maybe we can do it again. And I don't necessarily know if that was the best idea, considering how difficult it was for her to even find a moment to go ahead and bring people hope, and thus really only bringing people hope to 2 countries here. The bigger picture for me is how do you go about attaching that to the world and a bigger group of people that you're certainly trying to affect. So I would like to see the loss of hope really start to take its effect throughout the remainder of the season. Maybe Supergirl even getting some pushback in regards to how heavily involved, right, she certainly was with this decision without asking anybody. I really do want to see if there's going to be real world implications in this series that Supergirl will certainly have to deal with. I just thought maybe on the bigger scale. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, the idea of taking somebody's nuclear weapons, I'm sure certainly would bring hope to some countries, to say the least. But I guess maybe, if anything, maybe even after doing that, I think a speech would have been really nice. Maybe getting her in front of the cameras to explain her situation or why she did what she did. Something like a really rousing sort of speech to kind of give those people hope. I would have really have enjoyed that more, instead of just the concept of, okay, let's just round these warheads up, throw them to the sun like Superman 4, and that resolves it. And she literally just goes and grabs the Hope Totem in here, and everything is just perfectly fine, right? So I do wish that the execution of that was a little bit better, because it did feel a little anticlimactic for me. But I think that's a big step for Supergirl. I mean, look, last week she wind up really pushing her own limits in the sense of allowing the civilians to deal with more pain and anger and dishing out more damage in order to kind of draw out Nyxly. And now we have her breaking another one of her oaths in regards to not getting heavily involved. Not to say she's like Marvel's Watcher or anything like that, but to really get involved with things that I don't want to say that out of her power, but maybe overstepping in some people's eyes, and seeing how she's handling that and doing that in this particular episode too. I am curious to see like what the ramifications of all of this is certainly going to be. So I'll definitely keep my eyes open in regards to it. But I did think that it was fascinating at the end of their battle between Supergirl and Nyxly here, that she actually manages to walk away with all the totems in hand. I thought it was a really cool, just special effects wise, getting the opportunity to see her and William getting beamed up to Mitch's ship, but her using her speed to not only get out of the transportation, but also grab the totems along with William and escape certainly with all 3 of them. So the fact that Supergirl has really turned the tides rather quickly here after the first 3 episodes of this totem search, I'm really interested, because I think maybe a part of me had the mindset that maybe Nyxly would have all the totems as we go towards the finale, if you will. So the battle continues, and the race for more totems certainly continues. So we'll definitely have to see how it goes the remainder of this season here. Let's see here. Oh, and I also need to talk a little bit about Alex in this episode, because we truly get the opportunity to see Alex becoming a mom. And here we get the opportunity to see Esme officially moves in. That's one of the things that we were certainly hoping that we would wind up getting after the way the previous episode wind up ending. We weren't quite sure if that smirk and smile and grabbing of the hand was Esme was like, hey, come home with us, we'll be your new foster parents, or hey, everything's gonna be okay, we'll find you a new home soon, sort of thing. So I'm really glad that they went the route of allowing Alex to finally be a parent and be a mom, something that she's been wanting for since season 3, season 4. It's been a minute since they've tackled this concept and idea for Alex, but brilliant, man. I'm so glad that they went ahead and pulled the trigger. But there's clearly going to be learning curves, right? And I look at this in a sense, with me about to be a parent here soon, this upcoming December. I definitely took some notes and some lessons from this, because it is the idea of you know, how do you raise your children? How do you talk to your children, right? How much do you push them, sort of thing. They are just little people after all. They don't really have the adult mindset at first, sort of thing, right? So I was interested to see how Alex was going to tackle this, getting the opportunity to see her making her own mistakes and truly pushing Esme to learn to try and handle her abilities. Even when Esme tells her, like, I'm tired and things like that, the fact that she continues to push her child, I think was a really valuable lesson here to Alex, because she literally almost lost Esme because of the fact that not only did it make Esme sad, but also made her discouraged that this was going to be a successful home for her. Even asking Kelly, like, hey, just take me back to the foster home, guys, you know, like, I'm just going to hurt you guys in the long run, sort of thing. So really sad to kind of see Esme, after everything that she's been through with all the different foster parents, to kind of already have that mentality that maybe something's wrong with her, you know what I mean? And so the fact that you got Kelly and Alex in here to do their best parenting skills, to talk their daughter down, if you will, I thought it was pretty interesting for them to go ahead and get that truth creature. I was thinking to myself, like, are they gonna wrap this truth creature around this poor girl's arm? Like, that's terrifying. So I am glad that they at least kept it in its tank, like it's some sort of squid or fish, something that she can look at and don't have to worry about it being violent with her, sort of thing. So I'm glad they at least went that route and utilize it to have them speak their truths. But I gotta tell you, man, one of the things that Kelly says in here that really rung with me, she says, no one ever tells you that having a kid brings up past insecurities and struggles. But I love the fact that, you know, Alex, while she accepts that, there's a part of her that says, you know what, but even with all that, still, I absolutely love it. And I really love how much Alex loves being a mom. It's super infectious. And I think I'm going to have that same type of mentality when I become a dad myself. You know, it is kind of crazy just talking to the girlfriend, you know, trying to come up with game plans in your head of like how you want to raise your kid. And you do start kind of learning, you still do kind of like start looking back at some of big important life lessons, or maybe even mistakes that you made and insecurities that you had sort of as a kid struggling and kind of growing up. And you really try and figure, man, how can I prevent my own kid from being able to having to go through maybe some of the same things that I did, or, you know, not make the same mistakes I did. That's pretty heavy. But I get what she's saying, in the sense that nobody really warns you of that. But once you start having a kid for yourself and you realize, like, yeah, man, I did have some struggles and insecurities that you're just trying to do your best to that one get brought back up to you. But then also, how do you teach, you know, your kids not to either go down those paths, or how to avoid those same struggles, sort of thing. So it's interesting, man. It's absolutely interesting. But this episode really rung true with me. But I'm absolutely loving that Alex stuff, in the sense of her being a mom. Quick honorable mention in here. I do love the fact that when it comes to Lena, while we don't necessarily see her diving deep into her magic, the fact that she is really approaching magic like science, in the sense that she absolutely loves science, right? She has no problem picking up a science book. And I do think the idea of how her mind works as a scientist, I think the fact that she even mentions to Supergirl in here, like, you know, I'm trying to treat this as one of my science books. The idea of her opening it up and reading it and stuff, I can mentally see Lena Luthor trying to, I don't want to say turn these into scientific equations, but looking at it in a sense of a scientific point of view that would at least allow you to digest and swallow some of the things that you're learning a little bit better, so you can then kind of turn that scientific mind that's made you so successful and turn that into a more magical sort of concept. And I do think if she approaches it that way, she might impress. She definitely might impress in regards to that. So leave it up to Lena to be smart enough to change her perspective on magic into something that she enjoys. Not to say she fully enjoys magic, but you know what I mean. The fact that she loves science and she's approaching it that way, I think it's pretty telling, honestly, also. What else do we got here? I appreciate Mitch in creating that brand new technology so that she was able to utilize some of the courage totem powers. We do see that she has her dampener still on her and things like that, but Mitch coming up with the cool tech to go ahead and help Nyxly out in this episode and allowing her to use that courage totem powers. It definitely did have a big handle in this episode for sure. And last but not least, fucking Lex Luthor's back, baby. I'm so happy. I was really curious if Jon Cryer was going to pop back up in this series in any capacity whatsoever. He's been quiet. He's been dormant, it feels like, all season long. They really have pushed the Nyxly Phantom Zone sort of narrative, magic, right, all season long. It would have felt weird if Jon Cryer wasn't involved in season 6 of Supergirl, just based off of the great impact that he's had in the past couple of seasons already. The fact that he does arrive, or he doesn't show up himself, but he sends a little package to Nyxly as her secret admirer, which I thought was great, and giving her the Lex Luthor armor, which looked great on her as well. So yeah, he's definitely playing a role. I'm assuming if anything, he'll probably pop back up in next week's episode, but who knows? I have no idea when he plans on making an appearance in here, but I do love the fact that we are seeing some involvement from Lex Luthor as of right now. So yeah, that's just, man, Lex Luthor back, Lena learning magic. I am kind of curious if we're going to have ourselves a little bit of a showdown between our Luthors once again. But overall, not a bad episode. I definitely enjoyed it for certainly what it was. When it comes to the Hope Totem, again, I wasn't the biggest fan on the execution of it. I did love the idea of seeing John stick around to try and use some of his mind abilities to kind of help quench some of that animosity that both of these countries had towards one another. So I'm glad that we at least got to see him trying to keep things calm, pushing it back against the idea of brainwashing people into just signing some treaty. You know, brainwashing some people into just signing a treaty, if you will, sort of thing. So I enjoyed being able to see him use his abilities, but also refrain from using his abilities in a more villainous way that one of the senators or whoever was certainly there definitely wanted him to. So I thought that was pretty cool to kind of see how John was utilized in this episode too. But overall, really happy for Alex. I thought that was great. Continue to love the Supergirl and Nyxly stuff. They don't seem to be attached at the mind anymore. I was going to say at the waist, but they don't seem to be attached at the mind anymore. And we even got to see William included in this episode, being taken hostage by Nyxly, using him as a bargaining chip, trying to get all the totems for herself, but it was a quick sort of turnaround, and now she's got absolutely none. So just seeing William at least use some of his own training to get himself out of that situation, to cause a distraction, get the courage stone and things like that, and really be a helpful teammate to our super friends, I think really went a long way in this episode. So enjoyable. Maybe missed the mark on a couple of things, but I certainly still enjoyed this episode, to say the least. But listen, guys, at the end of the day, these are just my A+ opinions. I want to know yours, though. What did you guys think of this episode of Supergirl? Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. And until next time, guys, do me a big favor as always. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. If you enjoy our content and want to be a part of helping our channel grow, become a patron supporter. We have affordable tiers to choose from that offer a variety of exclusive and early access content, from audio files for all of our shows for you to enjoy on the road, access to our Discord community, and plenty of reactions, reviews, character breakdowns, and more. Check us out at patreon.com/A+opinions, and as always, remember, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so anytime we drop a brand new video, you will be notified.